daily driving a 2022 Volvo C40 Recharge Ultimate P8 all-wheel drive. So in this daily drive video, I'm going to drive this electric C40 out to Hamilton, then over to Oshawa, pretty much farther than the range that this car will allow, because we're gonna go to some hobby shops and do some stuff that I would do in a normal gas car and see how that goes. Starting with the pricing, this is 72,600 Canadian, and just like a lot of other electric cars these days, you get that pricing from the website and you don't have to haggle or anything at the dealership. And by the way, if you're looking for your own electric Volvo or any Volvo at all, hit up tsp.truecar.com. And then for horsepower and torque, 450 horsepower, 468 pound-feet of torque from 2 electric motors from a 78 kilowatt battery. There's no drive modes, but if I floor it, we get a ton of power. And this is rated for 364 kilometers of pure electric driving because it's only electric, but fully charged at 100% in this winter weather of around, what is it, like 11 degrees. It told me I have 290 kilometers that I can go, so I'm going to exceed that. So the C40 is pretty much the XC40, but a coupé version. And like the XC40 that had the orange interior, this one has blue, which is super cool, especially because it matches the outside. And then Volvo also used to have a C30, and this is also kind of like that, except this is much taller. It has like a way taller ride height, almost like awkwardly tall, but it still looks really, really cool. So to start your daily drive, when you get in, there's no start-stop button. As long as you have the key in your pocket, the car is ready to be put into drive or reverse and start driving right away, but there is a plug where the start-stop button used to be, but I don't mind it. I actually really like this. It's nice just being able to skip that extra step that you don't really need in electric cars. And when you get out, you don't even need to put it in park. You just need to come to a stop, open the door, take your seatbelt off. It'll put itself in park, and when you get out and click the lock button, which is the handle, it has the nicest sound for a lock ever. Like 10 out of 10 locking car sound. And then this is the first car I've driven with the new Android Automotive operating system, which is also on the Polestars. And this one still doesn't have Apple CarPlay. It's supposed to come in mid-2022 with an over-the-air update. So I guess for now, these cars and the Polestar are just meant for Green Bubble Gang only. That's why I wore my Green Bubble shirt. But I did connect my phone to Bluetooth and the call quality was very clear. And the cool thing about this Android Automotive operating system is I have Google Maps built in, and it's built into the gauge cluster as well, which is like the coolest feature. So to get my drive started, I'm pulling into a gas station. Yes, gas, ew, yuck. I'm doing my best to make public charging better. I know it's kind of tricky in Ontario, but follow along as I push these companies to make sure all their chargers work all the time. And because this is an electric car with Google Maps built in, we can do this cool thing where we click this magnifying glass, and then we can click charging stations, or we can say, hey Google, find charging stations near destination.
There's Electrify Canada charging station 40 minutes away. Want to navigate there?
And then we have our charging stations where we're going, and then we can pick from this menu right here and go with something that we know is either reliable, flow.
Did you want to stop at the Electrify Canada charging station in Hamilton?
Or potentially really fast if it's working at Electrify Canada. And then with this Android Automotive operating system, you can also log your Google account into your car and then download more apps from the Play Store, and then I guess it'll have all like your home and everything saved. But I'm not really a fan of putting my password for my Google into a car, so that's something I'm gonna be holding off on. I'm just gonna wait till the Apple CarPlay. So now that we're on our way to Hamilton, I'll talk about some more fun stuff. 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.7 seconds. So here I'm going 80 right now. I'm gonna floor it. We'll see how much speed it has while we're rolling. Yeah, it still pushes you back in your seat, so that's good, even at high speeds. The Volvo PR rep did tell me that the turn signal is supposed to be a sound of a branch breaking in a forest in Sweden, which, you know, whatever. Interesting marketing. If I close my eyes, I feel like I'm there.
Branch, which we could crack and then use as the turn indicator sound, which created this really organic sound.
The revs.
And then on the road, on the highway, over these little bumps, it's very comfortable and pretty quiet. It is like a very solid feeling car because it is a Volvo. This is a luxury car, even though it is pretty small. Well, it's like kind of small. It's still kind of tall, bigger than a hatchback. And then while we're driving, we have one pedal driving that we can turn on or off through the infotainment, and it is some of the most natural feeling one pedal driving I've ever felt. I can pretty much nail my stops every single time at a stop sign, at a light, at any line. So 10 out of 10 Volvo for this one pedal driving. Like, I really love it. I barely even use the brake pedal. So just for fun, let's pretend I have a little bit of range anxiety and I don't know if I'll make it there with what I have left. If I click my home button, go down to range, there's a range optimizer button, and when you click that, it'll say your vehicle will maximize range by limiting climate control functions, and you can turn that on to hopefully get a little bit more out of your car. And then if you look on that screen on your range assistant, it'll tell you your max range, your minimum range, and then your energy usage on some graphs for your speed, driving style, and your climate control. Then it'll also tell you how much electricity you're consuming at the moment, and right now, not in cruise control, I'm doing 21 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. But this also does have really good lane keep and cruise control. So if I click this button on the steering wheel, let's dial that into 100. Hands off, very good centering. It'll yell at me to put my hands back on. I should have my hands on anyways, but it is very, very good radar cruise lane keep, and it works on normal roads, not just highways, which makes this really convenient if your commute isn't just highways the whole time. And while I'm driving, there are no drive modes. I can't go more eco, I can't go more sport. It's kind of a get in and go car, which is simple. I like the idea of simple, and I really like that kind of stuff in the ID4, even though a lot of the ID4 did suck. And then sitting in this car, the seats are very comfortable. They're on the firmer side, but I like that. And then this whole interior is supposed to be 100% leather free, which I guess it is. I really like the blue carpeted interior stuff. I think that's like amazing, 10 out of 10. And what's also 10 out of 10, instead of carbon fiber or piano black on the door panels and on the dashboard, we've got this topographical map, which seems kind of cool during the day, but at night it lights up and the levels are like different colors. That is the coolest alternative to carbon fiber or wood on a dash that I've seen so far. And then with this EV and this leather-free, Volvo wants to be climate neutral by 2040. So I guess it makes sense why I'm in a Volvo electric car with no leather. And then I guess safety stuff. This does have blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, front collision assist. Volvos are generally really safe, so that's good because I've got a child. I would want a safe car for anything I buy. Like, I don't really want to be driving around in anything in the 90s these days with my baby. And then this also does have a full 360 camera, which is good for parking, but you can't show your 360 camera and reverse camera at the same time because of the weird layout of the screen. It'd be nice if they found a way to do that with over-the-air updates. But it is cool that this does have a 360 camera because a lot of smaller size cars like this from other companies never get a 360 camera for some reason. It's like, I can't have a small fuel efficient car and want a 360 camera. Then on my drive, I can actually have my SiriusXM satellite radio on my infotainment screen here on the right, which is awesome. Got my volume knob and left and right there, but I can't rewind on this car, which, you know, isn't my favorite. But while I have my music playing, then I can still see my directions in my gauge cluster, which is the coolest part about this car with the built-in Google Maps. And if I click this button on the steering wheel, I can minimize it so it goes away, but then I'll still have the direction when to turn in the middle. That's all the customization you can do to this gauge cluster. It doesn't really bother me because like getting in it and there's no drive modes, there's no start stop. It's a simple car and I'm okay with that philosophy surrounding this. And then some more look stuff. The more I look at this, the more I think it is my favorite looking Volvo right now, not including the Polestar 1, which I think was like the coolest looking Volvo thing ever. The taillights I think are really cool. Same Volvo style taillights, tall ones that come and they wrap around really nicely. We got some like little dashes in there. The headlights are good normal Volvo headlights. We've got the electric grille with no opening, so that looks cool. The front does open, there is some space there, but it's so heavy to open and close that like I don't think I'd ever really use it. Then in the trunk, if we open that up, we do have a bunch of room. Then we've got that bottom cover that we can fold up and use that as grocery bag hangers and a split for other cargo and stuff that we're carrying, which I have found very useful. And then below there is our charger, which I used to charge this car to 100% overnight at my house. It did take a while because I don't have an upgraded electrical system. I should do that and put in a proper charger, but this took me, I think, like maybe 20 hours to get it from 80% up to 100. And then in ideal charging situations, like at the super perfect fast chargers while you're out, you can get 0 to 80% in 40 minutes. That's the ideal for this. And then back to the looks, the wheels, probably my favorite electric wheels of the year, if not my favorite wheels of the year. I think these look super, super awesome. It almost looks like swords, like blades, Final Fantasy kind of stuff put together. They're 20 inches, and the Continental recommended tire for the Volvo C40 would be the Extreme Contact DWS 06 Plus. And now I'm at the part where I want to do the cup holder test and the visor test, but I don't have a Timmy's yet. So I'm going to navigate to a Tim Hortons on my way. Tim Hortons.
There's a Tim Hortons 3 minutes away. Navigate to that one?
Yes, and the small cup, well, it's a medium cup. It does fit perfectly fine, but if it was a small cup, I think it would fit too. And what's cool is behind the cup holder, there's this little garbage can there, so when I'm done eating my bagel, I can just toss the wrapper into there and not have garbage spread out all around my car, which people who know me know that that's an issue for me. And what's cool is that as I got back into the Volvo, I didn't need to put directions back into where I was going. It was still loaded up in my Android operating system. So it was like seamless. It was even more just get in and go, which is I'm actually really enjoying. Just turn off my brain, get in the car, don't even turn it on, get to where I need to be. So I just bought some cool collectible Barbie stuff for my wife and a cool Barbie PT Cruiser for my kid to play with when she's a little bit older. So now I'm gonna check for charging stations in the area. Just click this electric charging button and we have an Electrify Canada 7 minutes away. I'm gonna hit it up to see if it works, but I'm not going to actually charge. I'm going to go all the way to Oshawa, which is like another 100 kilometers or so, to see if I can get the range even lower before charging. That says it's working. This one is broken. This one is good. And this one is apparently working. So that's good, 3 of 4. Now we're gonna go to Oshawa, which is like 100 kilometers away, to see if we can get some stuff at that toy store and then come back and see how much range we have where we need to charge. Hey Google, 0% on return. So that will be interesting. We're gonna need to find a way to charge out there. And maybe on the way, we'll stop at Cliche Corner. Let's start off with a launch, no launch control. Still throws you back and really feels fast. Faster than I would have expected from a C40. And now into Cliche Corner. We can't turn traction control off because there's no way to do that. But let's give it a little send. It will cut out if you try to slip. But just like every electric car, you're kind of flying in way too fast and then just stabbing your way out. Pretty good. Nothing amazing for handling, but through the bumps, very smooth. So I got to the collectible store in Oshawa just fine. Then after I got some stuff to add to my collection, I found a 350 fast charger using the infotainment nearby, like 5 minutes away. Went to charge there while I waited for 40 minutes to get up to 80%, which it did in that 40 minutes. It only cost me $23 Canadian. I did go to Eastside Mario's and have a meal, which added on an extra $30 to this trip. But the service was great, and the lady there did say that they do get a lot of customers who are charging their cars, so shout out Eastside Mario's. And then I also saw an XC40 Recharge next to my C40 Recharge. So then with 170 kilometers, I managed to get home with 60% battery left. So with everything working perfectly, I had no issues using an electric car, so that was nice. I did 314 kilometers of driving, and it was all very pleasant. The seats were comfortable here. We also have a bunch of room in the back seats that I forgot to mention. So overall, this is a very nice, luxury, cool looking electric SUV. I get that it's expensive, $72,600, but it's a luxury brand. Like, that's kind of how it is. And my favorite part of this whole thing was the Google Maps built into the gauge cluster and the infotainment. That was really, really convenient to use. And I really liked that it even showed speed traps on the highway while you were driving, or like, you know, people doing radar. So I think any car company in the next 5 years that doesn't have built-in Google Maps or doesn't have Apple CarPlay with Google Maps in your gauge cluster is really going to be lacking. So let me know what you think of this daily driving Volvo video. When I get home, I'm going to plug it back into my house, get it back up to 100 so I can take it out for a drive anytime I want. And let me know if this video made you feel a little bit better about taking long road trips, going past the rated kilometers in your electric car.